If everybody will rise and please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next we'll have roll call.
Chairman Hayman.
Present.
Vice Chair Peters.
Present.
Director St. Amand.
Present.
Director Vallejo.
Present.
Director Itnire. Director Itnire. I will give him a text and see if he'll be joining today.
Give us just a minute and we'll see if we can contact Director Rittenauer and bring him on. Go ahead and start. Okay. Okay, so next we'll move to item number 2, adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second that.
Chairman Hayman.
Aye.
Vice Chair Peters.
Aye.
Director Vallejo.
Aye.
Director St. Amand.
Yes.
Director Itnire. Motion carries.
Okay, moving to item number 3, public comment. This time is reserved for the public to address the board about matters not on the agenda. No action will be taken on non-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any public comment from the floor?
Judy Decker, I'm speaking for myself. I do not see it on the agenda, and I wondered where the GA board was with regard to the mediation that is supposed to take place between your board and the Indian Wells Valley Water District Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Do you want me to provide comment on that?
Yes, sir.
So to recap, the GA boards sent a request to the water district asking for mediation. The water district responded, I think on June 6th, with a letter indicating a willingness to mediate and describing several things that it wanted us to consider as part of the mediation, I guess. I've had conversations with attorney Jim Worth for the water district, and we remain willing to mediate. Mr. Worth has requested that we provide that formally and that willingness formally in writing. I believe I already have authority to do that, so I told him I would. It will probably go out today. So next steps are pick a mediator.
Thank you. Any public comment on the phones? Seeing none, we will move to item number 4, board member comments. Any comments from the board?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, hearing none. Moving on to item number 5, consent agenda. This will consist of items 5A and B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Does any member of the community wish to pull an agenda item, or any member of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that, but I have a couple of comments.
Okay, go ahead.
First, from the meeting minutes for Wednesday, May 14th, I see at the top the list of Groundwater Authority members present, and I don't see Director Griffin, who was representative for the Water District, in that list. But I do see on item 2, adoption of the agenda, that Director Griffin was present and voted aye. If you could confirm that he was there and address that issue, I would appreciate it.
Yes, so I can't remember off the top of my head. He either I think he missed the April meeting, so when I retyped the May minutes, I just used the previous month as a template and just forgot to add him back into the header because he was present in May and not April. So I'll just have to add him into that header when I sign the minutes, and they'll be good to go.
That'd be great. So I have no problem with the minutes with regard, if that change is made. Thank you. And I do have a quick question. I see $349,000 for the city of Ridgecrest, and if someone could bring me up to speed on exactly what that represents, I'd appreciate it.
So there are 2 invoices for the city in front of you. One of them is for a backlog, and I know we had previous discussions before this, and I will detail that out a little bit more. There's a backlog for advance of funds and the use of city IT and the chambers over, gosh, I don't know how many years. So we'll have to account for those separately from the costs that are being incurred currently. So that's why you're going to see 2 invoices. Going forward, I will list them separately as well on the consent agenda, just to keep things a little clearer.
And the one invoice stretches back a number of years, is that right?
Yes, yeah, the advance of funds stretches back all the way to 2017. So the water district was paid, Kern County was paid, and now it's the city's turn.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Okay, so we have a motion, and you seconded it.
Yes, sir.
Already, so.
Chairman Hayman,
Aye.
Vice Chair Peters,
Aye.
Director St. Amand,
Yes.
Director Vallejo,
Aye.
Director Itnire.
Aye. Aye.
Motion
Sorry
carries.
about that. I was having a technology issue earlier.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay, moving to item number 6, westbound communication social media engagement. I will ask Carol to address this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in your packet, there's a brief report from our consultant, Westbound Communications. And they've been working with us on our communications and engagement. They've been helping us with outreach, community education. And they have recommended that the Groundwater Authority establish an independent Facebook page and basically start working in social media. It's something that we haven't done up until now. And I know we've discussed it in relation to recommendations from the PAC when they were reviewing our communications and engagement plan. But at this point, Westbound is recommending that we establish one for the Groundwater Authority. They would help us manage it. We would establish some pre-written information or responses that could be provided. And the main idea here is to give ourselves another avenue or venue for reaching out to the public to make sure the community gets all of information that we have available. We were rather limited in that respect, so social media seems like a good platform for us to take advantage of. Up until now, we've relied on the city to post information for us when we have press releases or community events, so this would be an opportunity for the authority to do that on its own. Again, Westbound would help us manage it. And there would also be policies, disclaimers, and social media policies that would establish basically how posts could be made, what would be removed, things that are acceptable and not acceptable. And so basically, because this is an ongoing program, which with an ongoing expense, we're looking for the board to weigh in and let us know if you would approve us going forward with this.
Thank you, Carol. We'll bring it back to the board for any questions or comments, or
No questions.
What's the total bid on this establishment of a Facebook page?
I don't believe we had a dollar amount for it. We have a contract with Westbound Communications, who's doing our communications for us, and this would just be part of what they're doing for us.
Okay, so it's additional duties that covered by their existing contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This is John Vallejo. I'm not interrupting anyone, Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
So I fully appreciate and agree with the idea that as much notice from the agency to the public as possible is important about the things that we're doing or contemplating doing. I have serious reservations about utilizing a Facebook page for that purpose, primarily because when you create a non-personal page, which this would be some sort of, business, as I think Facebook calls it, a business page, you can't turn off the comments. And what ultimately ends up happening, in my experience with public agency work, is that the amount of misinformation and disinformation about what you're trying to discuss overwhelms the actual message you are trying to provide to the public. And oftentimes becomes more of a detriment and a headache than an actual benefit to the agency and the public that we're trying to serve here. I think a simple posting of notices around without having to engage in all of the moderating or attempted moderating and First Amendment issues and other complications that social media creates. So I think posting it without getting into that world is the more appropriate path. So I don't support creating a Facebook page for this purpose. Again, not because I'm against providing any notice to the public, but because I believe that this platform does not actually benefit the public at the end of the day, given the amount of, given the inability to actually turn comments off, and given the limitations we have with regard to First Amendment issues, to make sure that the posts and information we're trying to put out there are not just overwhelmed by other issues or just false or misleading issues.
Thank you, Director Vallejo. Any other comments from the board?
I'll just jump in. I'll say that I appreciate what Director Vallejo is saying. I see a lot of that happens on Facebook, on various different pages. There's a lot of misinformation that gets spread around. A lot of those posts devolve into just an argument, basically, that usually doesn't have anything to do with the original post. But I do think that this is one of the main ways that people engage with entities that get their information. So, I mean, I definitely am open to other suggestions or ways to approach it, but I don't know of a better solution. I mean, again, I agree that it's not perfect, and there's definitely some hazards there, but I think that it's important that we get this information out and engage with the community as much as we can and make sure they have that info. So if anybody from Westbound or Carroll has any suggestions that might make sure that we're doing this the right way and keeping the message on track, I definitely would be open to hear it.
That's exactly the discussion that we had with Westbound when they suggested this, and I had heard some of these concerns from some of you before when the PAC had made its recommendations, because it also had reservations. And I think the key here is just being able to manage the comments and redirect them to positive information and correct misinformation as best we can. Often that information is going to be out there anyway, so this is an opportunity for us to correct it and to direct folks back to our website or direct them to the accurate information. If it's something that we feel isn't successful, we could always take it down. We can stop it. But it seems to be a good opportunity for us to engage with the community in a way that we haven't yet.
So, Carol, this is Director or Chair Heyman. Would Westbound be in charge of monitoring that page and
Yes.
and taking care of the communications aspect of it? Because I mean,
that's correct.
I too agree with, it's an avenue for us to get the message out and to have a communication with the public. And but I do have my reservations that I voiced before about people using it as more of a rant and rave and getting off topic and using it to exploit their, maybe sidetracked views of what it is. And you see that a lot. Yeah, I choose not to really get on Facebook a lot, but just because of that. It can be a good thing, but there's no doubt it has its negative aspects too, so I'm concerned about us being able to, like John or Director Vallejo had said, being able to manage that and do it in a professional manner. I mean, if it's kept professional and I see it as a benefit, but I also see it with some risks attached, but I'd like to hear-
Absolutely agree, Chairman. And I think that's the key, is being able to manage the comments properly. But I think it's worth it's worth the risk. It's worth at least trying it if we can provide that information that's otherwise not getting out there. And again, we can always change it. We could take it down if it's not successful. But it seems to be worth a try to see if we can engage with the community and provide that additional information.
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Director.
So prior to this, Groundwater Authority posts on Facebook have been done through the City of Ridgecrest's Facebook page. Is that correct?
We have, on occasion, we've provided information to the city to put on their Facebook page.
Okay. So that would then move this away from the City of Ridgecrest having to manage it and off to the Groundwater Authority. Okay. You talk about managing comments. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Well, there would be a policy established in terms of social media. So the policy states that comments are not, they can't be rude, they can't be threatening, and if there's inaccurate information, we would correct it. Basically, it's just if the comments violate the policy, they can be removed. If they are simply questions or statements of information that are incorrect, we would correct them. We can use them. We can direct them to our website. We can provide pre-prepared responses to provide certain pieces of information. But that's what I mean by managing them, basically dealing with them in accordance with the social media policy.
Okay.
So, sorry to jump in. I know I'm cutting you off, but just to follow up on that, I mean, has this policy been thoroughly vetted by legal counsel? Because, for example, and maybe it was just a choice of words there, Carol, but for example, if we try to moderate someone for being rude, that's a First Amendment issue right there. They can be as rude as they want, and we can't do anything about it except for say, perhaps, please be polite, right? And then that's where, again, my issues and the complete lack of faith in the effectiveness of social media to be a good messenger comes up, because these conversations just get overtaken, and no matter how much neutral, objective information you put out there, it just turns into a quagmire, is my concern, because we can't manage free speech. All we can do is say, here's where the information is, and then people will continue to say whatever they want, and it's just repeats over and over in experiences across public agencies. And what we end up often dealing with is not the substance and policy, but a First Amendment complaint. So that's my big concern.
And Director Vallejo, I believe that the intent would be to develop an internal policy, so that we would have the opportunity to have legal counsel involved in that.
So I know there were some issues a few years ago with politicians trying to close down their Facebook and their X accounts when they became unsuitable. And I think they were sued that had to become permanent public record and they couldn't close them down. Does that extend to organizations like the City of Ridgecrest or the Water District or the Groundwater Authority? Do you have any idea?
I don't want to claim to be an expert in this issue or question, but my understanding is they couldn't stop people from commenting on their publicly available pages. Okay. It wasn't an issue of a public records issue or record keeping, because you can keep records in a variety of different means and methods, and it doesn't have to be in one specific spot. Right. So it's really an issue of, again, moderation of comments from the public. That's what was really at issue there, I think, in terms of what you're referring to.
Okay, so not necessarily that the material has to be maintained online forever. So you're talking about correcting misinformation. Are you talking about editing or removing comments that you feel have incorrect information in them?
Right. That's
no.
We're not able.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, John.
No, it's okay. That's the issue. We're not able to edit or hide or delete those comments.
Okay.
Director Vallejo, this is Leanne Cook. I sit on a small school board in Bakersfield, and I went to the California School Board Association's meeting this last December, and I believe that has been litigated in court, and they came up with a policy that you are able to manage those comments.
Well, I guess I need to chime in here on this. I think Director Vallejo is fundamentally correct that this is that by creating the website, you're creating a limited public forum. If we went forward on this, we would certainly have to create a policy in order to respect First Amendment rights. As far as the specifics of that, I can't tell you what it is offhand, but generally speaking, obviously, First Amendment favors people having the right to speak their minds. So, and that's a good thing. So we will have that as part of whatever the broad outlines of what is permissible in terms of moderation is what we would have.
Can I jump in there real quick? So in the backup material, it goes into depth on social media disclaimer and policy, and it even references following the example of existing social media policies, particularly San Bernardino County and the Riverside County Transportation Commission, which I'm sure their councils have vetted, but maybe just out of an abundance of caution moving forward, if we can say we're going to try this on a just a initial basis. This isn't something we're guaranteeing into the future, but we would like Westbound as part of developing this page to make sure they consult with our legal counsel and have a policy that respects the existing law regarding social media use by a public agency.
And that we could pull down, if we decided this isn't our mode of operation, and we could take it down at any time.
Right. And as Carol said, that most of this information, well, all of the narrative on Facebook, if we're not sharing information, is out of our hands. So it's best that we share information directly from the source with the community, and hopefully we get some good constructive engagement, and we can reevaluate if that's not the case.
I share Mr. Vallejo's concerns. I'd like to see Westbound Communications perhaps authorized to prepare a policy and have that vetted by legal before we give them authorization to put out a Facebook page. I think that would be important for us to have that in place first before anything else goes forward.
That is in the recommendation in here to develop social media disclaimer policy.
Okay, but that my vote would be to have them make the policy first and then return to the board after the board has reviewed the policy and legal's had a chance to vet it, and then vote on moving forward with other aspects of putting up a Facebook page after the policy has been approved by the board. That's my thinking on the issue. That's all I have.
Yeah. Any other comments from the board? Okay, we'll move to the public comment. Public comment from the floor.
Judy Decker, as vice chairman of the PAC committee that created the community engagement policy that you now have. We discussed this at great length. This was several years ago now, because we haven't had a meeting, excuse me. We haven't had a meeting in years. And I would echo 500% Mr. Vallejo's comments and concerns. I think you are opening up a giant can of worms. One can talk to people who read your webpage and can't even get that right, but they put it on Facebook and are sending out skewed information. How is how is this going to work with westbound? Is this part of the current contract, or will you have to amend the contract? How many hours are going to be spent responding to Facebook comments by westbound, who does not live here, does not know anything about this area? I think you need further investigation into this, and I would, if I were sitting on the board, I would second Mr. St. Amon's motion about creating the policy and having it vetted by legal counsel before you go forward with this. Thank you. All you have to do is look at the news and and look at things that our president puts on his social page and how those get skewed and how he skews things. I think, again, you're opening a big can of worms. If people are really interested in this organization, they can take some time off once in a while and come to the meetings.
Thank you, Judy. Any other public comment from the floor?
I'm Don Decker. I'm the last standing member of the PAC. I don't know whether that's an honor or not.
It is.
I think I agree with Mr. Vallejo and what Judy just said. I think you really are opening up a giant can of worms, and it will happen almost instantly. Now, the possibility of pulling back, if that's really a possibility, is a solution, if you will. But, given the emotional tenor of the public at this point, which is, I would rate it as rather severe, the emotional nature of this whole thing, you're guaranteed to have some really foolish comments made that just triggers off endless nonsense. It's a complete waste of time. And westbound, given that they basically don't know anything about your operation or the details, or they have no idea how emotional it has been, they don't stand a chance. And unless, somebody from here would actually try to do something, it's hopeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other comments from the floor? Okay, we have a caller online. Caller, go ahead.
This is Renee Westilas. Can you hear me?
Yes, Renee, go ahead.
Yes, I'm pretty much agree with Director Vallejo, Judy Decker, and Don Decker. I'm scared for, people may put violent stuff on there, attack people. It'll get out of hand. The fever pitch, I think, of this community is pretty high. We've got more than just the water issue. And I think people are emotional, and I don't think that the people that are going to go to the Facebook and comment back will, you can't change their minds. And to me it was evident in that city council meeting where Capitol Corps reviewed the two assembly bills, that affect the groundwater authority across the state. And I just think there's no convincing that crowd of people ever about any truthful information. And I'm worried about the dangerous ramifications. I have questions like how quickly can the website be taken down if it becomes a disaster? Because I think it will escalate quite a bit. And I also want to know what the cost is going to be, and then what happens when the GA, if the GA can no longer afford to maintain this Facebook website. How do we get rid of it? Because, my opinion, there's nobody on the staff of the GA or the GA board that could manage a Facebook web page if we no longer have Westbound helping us. I mean, I don't know if Westbound is a permanent entity, and then what happens, you know, later on, years from now? Are we stuck with this Facebook page and all kinds of problems with it? I oppose it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Next caller, go ahead.
And I don't think that the people that are going to go to the Facebook and comment.
Okay, do we have any other callers on the line? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion or a motion.
Chairman Heyman, your voice is very low. I think the microphone needs to be a bit closer.
Thank you, sir. So we'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion or a motion.
Well, I personally still think that it's a value to get as much information and as accurate information as possible to the community. You know, we've heard that Westbound doesn't know anything about what we're doing, but I couldn't disagree more with that. I mean, they are the ones handling our communication plan. I think we're in big trouble if they don't know what we're doing. They know very well what's going on. They are engaged in this, and I think that they can appropriately handle that. So I would be in favor of moving forward, at least on a trial basis to see how it works out. But from the sounds of it, I might not have agreement with the rest of the board on that. So if anybody else wants to chime in or make a motion to the contrary, I'm open to it.
Well, before we get a motion, I mean, what other options have we really considered besides social media? And again, my apologies, I just have zero faith in social media to be an effective platform for what I would consider relevant and accurate conversation. So have we explored other options and other, you know, methods besides social media, or, you know, like a different platform where there isn't just the ability to comment, where it really just is another space to say, hey, here's what we want to let you all know. If you have questions, contact us here, kind of thing. I know we have the website, which is effectively that. Because I'm just not sure what added value we get from allowing the conversation to take place in this space as opposed to take place with us.
If I can respond, Director Vallejo, I think our opportunities are fairly limited. We use press releases, so we actually get better coverage, I think, outside of the community than we do within the community, because those media outlets are pretty limited. And so what we're looking for, I mean, we can do press releases and get coverage, you know, on statewide water policy outlets, but our ability to communicate directly with our community is a bit limited, and that's, I think, what led to the recommendation to try social media. If you like, I can take that request back to our Westbound team, and we can try to hash that out a little bit better.
It just seems difficult to accept the idea that the community can't engage anywhere else besides Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is Chairman Heyman. I would agree, Carol, that we are very limited in our ability and avenues to get the message out and to communicate with the public. I think it's a vital part of this GA, and I've been for improving our communications with the public for years. Back when Mick Gleason and I had, you know, this conversation years ago. I think the risks that, you know, we're concerned with, which I have, are outweighed by the ability to communicate with the public. And You know, I'm in favor of doing it, and I think we can give it a go. I'll be the first to say if I'm wrong and we decide to take it down. I don't have a problem with agreeing with the individuals who have showed opposition or, concerns about it today. That's perfectly fine, but I think it's a viable option, and I for one would recommend going with it or agree to go with it. So we do have another caller on the line, so I think I will go ahead and take that call. So caller, go ahead.
Yes, this is Renee Westphalesk again. Is there going to be something in place that states the policy that the stuff can be removed? Because I'm worried. What happens if there's death threats or promotion of physical violence in the comments? What is Westbound going to do then? I mean, can they go to the police department and get these people tracked down or something and warned or whatever? I'm worried about having no policy really that's been taking into consideration all these things that could go wrong.
Can I respond to that, Director?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Renee, I appreciate that, and I share your concerns. I've seen similar things that have been posted, and just as a rule on the platform itself, those types of posts can, and I think sometimes are, automatically removed, and organizations can definitely refer those to law enforcement as well. We saw in Bakersfield a year or so ago when somebody was making death threats at a city council meeting, and they were arrested afterward. So I think that there's avenues that we can take to mitigate some of that, but maybe just to advance the conversation along as kind of a way for us to move forward, I'd like to make a motion that we refer this back to staff. We get a report back on a policy as asked for by Director Santamond, and in the meantime, ask that staff explore some potential additional options or alternative options. Again, I still think that this is a worthwhile path to consider, but it wouldn't hurt to get some more information maybe at the next meeting.
And a little more clarity on the policy itself, what it would pertain to, and a little firmer guidelines on to answer some of the questions that's been brought out today. I think.
There's a question about the motion. It's to get more information on the policy?
Correct.
And not to have the policy.
To bring it back, to send it back for more.
To have the policy developed.
Okay.
And clarified.
Yeah. And then we could bring it back at a later date.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
I mean, it seems to me that might just be direction to staff. We don't need to vote for it.
Okay.
I'll just confirm with Council Lemieux. If we're just not pushing this through and we're bringing it back in August, there's no need for any motions or votes.
That's correct. They can just give us direction and we'll bring it right back.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
That sounds good.
I would, this is Judy Decker again. Excuse me again. I would like my two questions answered that I asked earlier, and that is, how much is this Facebook issue going to cost? And is it in addition to what Westbound is already charging? And how many hours is going to be spent a month answering these questions? I think that's something for the board to know as well as the public.
Thank you, Judy. I'm sure we'll take that into consideration when we look further into this. Okay.
All right.
Moving on to item number 7, the Water Resources Manager's Report. That will be with Stetson.
Yes. Thank you. This is Steve Johnson with Stetson Engineers. Thank you, Chairman Heyman. Good morning to everyone, all the board members and stakeholders. Welcome, Director Santamon.
Thank
See
you.
you on the board. The Water Resource Manager Report is written and it's part of the package. I'm going to briefly go through some of the items. It's been a while since we've gotten together, but not that much has changed. I'll try to hit the highlights as quickly as I can. We've got some other things we need to get done today. Anyway, the report is written as part of your packet. As part of the grant funding update, as you're all aware, we do have a fairly large IP implementation project grant fund for the work on the design of the pipeline and the work on the pipeline. We did submit invoice number 10, which covered October through December 2024 for a little over $505,000. That payment's been received. That was invoice number 10. Invoice 11, which covers January through March 2025, was for almost $600,000, $593 and some $100 some change. I just got word from April this morning, as this call started, that she'd received that payment too, so that's been received. So we are up to date on the IP grant. For the Urban Community Drought Relief Program, the authority was awarded almost 3.4 million. Consolidation work on wells and other issues going on with water quality and wells being shut down or being impacted by all kinds of things. We've been working through the potential wells and potential systems for consolidation near the impacted wells. We've reported in the past on the Rademacher consolidation, which is currently underway. The reimbursement agreement to have the water district. This was a coordinated effort between the authority, directly coordinated between the water authority staff and the water district staff, to have a reimbursement agreement for the water district to design, construct, and install, this pipeline extension for consolidation. It's been complete. Phase 1 has been complete. Pressure testing and disinfection has been completed. And the water district is now just coordinating with the landowner for the connection to the meter, to the meter to the house, get the meter to the house facility connected. So in pretty good shape there. We also have presented information on phase 2, which would extend the district's water line and pick up 4 or 5 more houses or residents for service. That water district has completed that design now, and it's in front of DDW for approval. So that's going well. We're still looking at the Stark Street consolidation feasibility, and that study is underway. We'll report back on that on when we have more information on that Stark Street potential consolidation. For that grant, invoice number 4, which covers October through December 24, was almost $28,000. That payment's received. Invoice number 5 covers January 25 through March 25, total of almost a little over 61,000. Again, just received word from April this morning that it was received today, so that has also been received. We're up to date on that grant also. So that's pretty good. Following with the information on grants, it's about 2 or 3 pages deep in it, and this is another grant that I'm going to jump to just to keep the grant information together. This was a drinking water systems infrastructure resilience and sustainability program grant, almost $2.8 million basically. As you recall, we made application for that. It was very competitive, but apparently the application was good enough that we were selected, awarded. That happened, and I no intention to get political here at all, but that happened in the process of going through an administration change at the federal government, federal grant, through EPA. And we had to take a step back with the staff at the grant operator, the grant staff at EPA. Take a step back, and there was apparently some directions provided to the grant staff to rework or reword grant applications to make them consistent with the current policy at the federal government. So we did have to make some language changes. We've done that. We've had multiple meetings with the staff to get updated on it, and the latest information is the grant coordinator has indicated that he's processed the application and expects the project officer and grant specialist to reach out to us soon. Hopefully, the next step would be execution of that agreement. So that's about $2.8 million. That will certainly help us with our funding to complete design, environmental work, right-of-way work, and that kind of thing. So that's where we are on the grants. There's no other grants being pending or underway. As you know, we are in the process of designing the pipeline. That includes pipeline design, right-of-way work, and environmental. I'll just give you a quick update. It's all in the report, a lot of detail in the report. But as we're working through it, we had multiple change orders, especially associated with the environmental work, primarily in the relationship with the authority, our consultant, which is Provost and Pritchard, and BLM on requirements on the environmental side have resulted in fairly significant change orders. Those are going to be addressed somewhat. Hopefully, we get them addressed today in a closed session after the meeting. But I'll give you an update about where we are now. On the design of the project, the important water project design, I go right to the next steps and where were the next milestones. Next steps, we have several TMs, technical memorandums, due from Provost and Pritchard, include with the tank design, electrical systems, instrumentation and controls, hydraulic and transient migration analysis, technical memorandum, pump selection, and 30% design. We have several TMs that are still coming our way. Right now, also a draft corrosion report. Our milestones are we're looking at for 90% design submittal soon. Things have been delayed a little bit because, as I mentioned, we are processing some change orders. But we're looking for 90% submittal. 100% design is expected by the end of this year, December 2025. So that's our current schedule for design. For the environmental services, next steps generally include providing an updated schedule to complete the environmental work, providing environmental analysis for 45-day public comment period. That's due, coming due right now. And our next milestone really is to provide the final environmental assessment and the EIR. So that is in their hands. And again, we're working through some change orders to get that done, but that's on their schedule. For the right-of-way work, we're expecting a final right-of-way acquisition plan by late 2025. We're expecting to complete plats and legal descriptions for the parcels that we need to look at by mid-2025. That's now, so those are expected anytime. And the complete appraisals, again, that's appraisals for all the land that we may need to acquire for right-of-way. That should be due, it's due by the end of this year. DWR submittals, we continue to submit information to DWR on a regular basis. Our draft grant completion reports are due by the end of this year. Design specifications are due by the end of this year. CEQA and ECO documentation due by the end of this year. And copies of our right-of-way documentations are all due to DWR by the end of this year. Our final, this is for the IP grant primarily, our final grant completion report. This is summation of all the work that was done, all the money was paid, and all the deliverables. That is due by March 31st of next year, 2026. So that will ultimately, if you're looking for an end date, that will ultimately wrap up the IP grant, early spring of next year. I've already talked about that grant. Shallow well mitigation program, currently no active applications that we are reviewing. I do want to report that for our annual report, as we reported in the past, we did submit an annual report. We do it every year, submitted to DWR. We got a letter back from DWR, which I thought was a very positive letter, indicated that our annual report satisfies the GSP regulations and the requirements. And more importantly, the DWR stated in their letter that the basin remains, the Groundwater Authority, in their sustainability plan, that the basin remains on track to achieve sustainability in alignment with the GSP that they've already approved. So I thought that was a very positive statement from DWR to actually write that in the letter to say that they are on board with our direction and where we're going. So I did want to report that. Miscellaneous items, our data collection and monitoring continues. Nothing really new there. We are still trying to get another monitoring well out at the Rose Valley, and we're working through the Navy COSO contracts. We've had to continually extend our deadlines because we're having difficulty getting the permitting and the processing for that work, but that's still underway. We're still working on that. I think that's all the highlights I wanted to report, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. I know Jeff is online too if he can answer any questions that come up.
Thank you, Steve. We'll bring it back to the board for any questions or comments.
Steve, did I hear you say there were no active applications on the shallow well mitigation program?
That's correct.
Okay, thank
Not
you.
now, right now.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Quick comment on the Rademacher consolidation update. It's my understanding that one property there is now receiving water district water, and that the second property, the one that was having the most issues with contamination of their well water, is working with an independent contractor to make the connection to the water district system. And it's an opportunity. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that's perfect. That's great.
Okay.
It's important.
There's other properties there that have private wells, and if they wanted to switch over to water district water, now's the time, because the grant, I believe, will cover their connection fees, and that would save them a considerable amount of money. So if you have run into them, bump into them, or send them communications, please urge them to consider that possibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Salem. I just want to say, I said it before, I'll just say it again. It was a great opportunity for the Groundwater Authority to work with Water District and actually complete a project. So thank you, Director Salem.
Our pleasure.
Just a quick question for you, Director. Is the Water District going to contact those other properties, or are you expecting the groundwater too? Or just to be clear on, so we don't drop the ball on it. But
so, John, have you been doing that? Have you been talking to the property owners? Who's been the primary contact for that group? We may have an answer moving forward. Hold on one moment, please.
George Kroll, General Manager of the Indian Wells Valley Water District. Our engineer, Renee, is the lead on that.
Okay.
We have not actively reached out to those people, but if the board would desire, we would be happy to go put a flyer on their door, knock on their door, and let people in that vicinity know that that is an option available to them. That would be at the discretion of the board.
Really, whatever you would prefer probably would control that activity.
do we need to give any direction, Council Lemieux, to give any direction to the Water District on that? Do we need to have that as an item, or is it something that we could do today?
I'll just say our reluctance to just go do it is because it is your money that's paying for it, and it is a little awkward for us to go up and say, hey, we're gonna have the water, the GA pay for this. So if you guys say you want to pay for that, those connection fees and stuff, we're happy to do the notification, but we didn't want to overstep our bounds.
Right, it is, if you're the primary connection to those property owners, we do not want to interfere with that. That is to say, the Groundwater Authority.
So refresh my recollection, what's this item agendized at specifically? It's not, it's under the Water Master's report, so we can't take action on anything based on that report right now. We would, if action is necessary, we would have to bring it back as a separate agendized item.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, so.
Chair Heyman,
Yes.
this is Jim Worth. For the record, Keith, I think this is just really management of the grant funds, and I think that if the GA gave us a nod and said that the district could go ahead and make contact with those persons, that would be sufficient. We're already out there anyway, so I don't really believe it would require an actual motion on that, just a consensus that it's okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
We have a reimbursement agreement with the Water District.
I guess the level of decision-making involved is really what the district feels its need, I guess, to move forward. So if the district's saying that having the manager give them the head nod is sufficient, then this could fall under the general manager's authority. Then we could just give them the head nod.
Okay.
I think Carol just did.
Even better. Done.
Okay.
Okay, we will
Done.
move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
Let's contact those folks and let them know that they have an option. Okay. Any other questions or comments for Water Resource Manager? Seeing none, I'm gonna go ahead and call public comment on this, and then I'll move back. So, any public comment from the floor?
This is Don Decker again. This is a comment that I've made for, I don't know, years with Gene Moran. The problems with trying to get all of the paperwork straightened around for a Rose Valley well. It's actually in the notch further south. Rather than drilling a well, a much more satisfactory thing to do is a shallow seismic survey of that area. You're not going to get water samples, but you're going to get structure, which is what you're after drilling a well. And you could cover a lot more territory with the same amount of money you're going to spend on the well itself. This is a technical thing that somehow or other seems to be, I don't know, something that folks that have been working on this for years have been struggling with. That is, shallow seismic really has a whole lot of potential that didn't used to be there, and it's time to take advantage of it. That's what I'm offering again to you guys for your understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
I just real quick response. Don, appreciate that. I will absolutely follow up on that today. Gene is somewhat part-time, maybe less than part-time now. We do have a very good seismic survey guy in our Carlsbad office, Steve Wright, who's one of our principals. I will reach out to him and Gene today. Thanks. Thank you, Don.
Very good. Okay, any public comments on the phone? Caller, go ahead.
Public comments on the phone. Hello, go ahead. Yes?
Mr. Sinander, I just want to remind you to mute your streaming device while
Okay, got it.
because there's a 20-second delay.
Okay.
Okay, so let me clarify. So we're going to move back to the item number 6 because we had a little bit of an IT glitch and public comment was not able to get through, and I believe we have that public caller on the phone right now. So, caller, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chairman Heyman. And I would like to make some comments regarding Facebook. My name is Mike Fenot, and you'll probably know that I have a real problem with Facebook as a medium of communications. My experience in the communications business extends for nearly 30 years. I started off as the publisher of a blog in Ridgecrest 5 years ago, but 30 years ago, I founded a company in Phoenix, Arizona, which was a communications business. And there's 2 different types of communication that the agencies in the question here, the Groundwater Authority and the City of Ridgecrest, should be thinking about. There's push communication and there's pull communication. Pulling is pulling people to your website. Pushing communications and messages is sending them to people that want to receive them. For example, if you have a broadcast email list or a broadcast fax list, you would push the information that you want to the people that you want to receive it. If you want to make it known that there's a website that they can go to get the same information, then you should advertise that website. The idea that social media, especially on Facebook, should be used as a medium of communications is ludicrous. Facebook is not the end-all for communications with the public. Not everybody is a member of Facebook. A lot of people don't want to have anything to do with Facebook. The city of Ridgecrest has used Facebook to control the dialogue, to conduct surveys with children, and to use the police department as a surveillance vehicle on interacting with Facebook. I believe it was 2 years ago when the chief of police or one of the representatives from the police department was telling us that they had 16,000 engagements with their Facebook page. Well, that's an information gathering source for them, just as it is for any other company that wants the data of the people that are on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I have never wanted to use Facebook except to object to the fact that the city of Ridgecrest was trying to use it as their town hall. And that's what it's become. It's because there's nobody going to the city council meetings. And that's not unlike the city of, or the groundwater authority. So, with that said, I'm by the way, I'm banned. I can't even join Facebook because I didn't want to comply with their rules. And so I'll end it right there. And I think I said enough. And I think your best approach to communications would be to get rid of the communications company you're talking about hiring and set up a broadcast email list and start sending out information now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We will move to the, well, actually, any public comment on the general manager's report before we move on? Any further comment from the floor? And so we do have a caller online. Caller, go ahead.
Hello, this is Renee Westerlusk. I want some clarification on the Rademacher. I wanted some clarification on the Rademacher consolidation. Who is actually paying for the individual homeowners or landowners to hook the house up actually to the water supply out in the street? Is it incumbent on the homeowner? They have to pay for that? Or is the GA helping them in some way? Because I was confused at the water district meeting the other night. They were saying something about the GA was working on that.
Renee, that's a very good question. Our grant does not cover that connection. So it would have to be authorized by the board to cover that separately from the grant. My understanding is for Rademacher, they have concluded that Rademacher is willing to pay for that service connection. But it'll have to be dealt with at each service connection as to how it actually, the final connection gets made to the house, because the grant does not cover it.
So is there any other grant money floating around in the state to help people with that problem? Because what if they don't have the money to hook up? Because I understand it's costly. Like, is it several $1,000s?
Yeah, it can be a couple thousand. It can be, depending how far away it is. I don't know of any others. There is that self-help, but I think we've talked to them before, and it's possible that they can help with something like that. But the red tape, the logistics to actually get that done, authorized and done, can really delay implementing the actual service connection. But we, as far as I know, unless Jeff or Bianca have more information, we're not aware of any other grant opportunities for that.
Renee, this is Michael McKinney.
Yeah.
A public agency getting money from the state or the federal government for that purpose, there is not a grant that is currently available. In terms of a nonprofit organization being provided those funds in order to assist a homeowner with that, has been wiped out in the past few budgets. So Self-Help Enterprises budget has been severely impacted by the state of California's fiscal crisis. So to our knowledge, there are not any available funds at this particular time. At one point, EPA did do low interest loans for that type of a connection. However, and the public agency was able to be the applicant for that. However, that program has since been cut and done away with. So to our knowledge, no.
So if you hire a private contractor to hook up your home to the water district water system, do private contractors offer loan programs so the homeowner can afford that, or do you know anything about that?
Having worked in this having worked in this industry, Renee, a little bit, yes, there are contractors who do offer private source connections for that particular type of thing. You can do what is known, it's second mortgage essentially. You're pulling out against the equity in the home. There are other what we call secured mezzanine financing options that are available that contractors will offer, but for the most part, those are the responsibility of the homeowner or the property owner, building owner.
This is a question for the GA board members. Can any of the shallow well mitigation fees that the GA charges, can any of that be spent on helping individual homeowners get their house connected to the water district water system once their shallow well is, no longer operable?
Are you looking?
I'm looking for,
The answer to that question would be, it depends. There would have to be certain findings made.
Okay.
I'd like to clarify something. The independent contractor can run the pipe from the house out to where the meter would take place. They don't have anything to, the water district installs the meter and there is a fee for that. So given that the grant money does not cover that sort of expense, do you still want the water district to advertise the possibility for connections now?
well, I think it should, that portion should just be an option. If a person, knows that they have that availability, that if their well, if their well or water quality or, whatever it is, they may have to seek that option. But I
There's a
think it would-
water line nearby from the district. That's
You
paid
have-
for by grant
right.
money, and if you want to tap in, this is what it would cost.
It's my understanding that any homeowner building a house or, that's part of the cost of
Yes.
homeownership is that connection.
Correct.
And
Yes, that's
so,
right.
So with that, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Chairman, Heyman?
Yes.
This is Jim Worth one time. That's an interesting question that Renee brought up, and I'd like to talk to Keith about that a little bit more. So that's all I've got.
Okay.
Keith, I'd like to talk to you about that later on after the meeting.
Okay,
So.
and please share, any information you may glean out of it and back with the board.
Great, Jim. I look
Trying to
forward
make
to it.
easy.
Okay, any other comments, public comment on the phones?
Thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Next, we'll move to the general manager's report, and that will be with Carol.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may have noticed we don't have the financial report in the packet this month, and that's because Kern County is still working on its transition. The Treasury is still working on its transition with the new accounting system. So we weren't able to get the financial information we needed just yet to prepare the reports, but I believe we will have something for you next month. Communications and engagement plan update. We've already talked considerably about some social media. We're working on the new website, and Westbound's assisting us considerably with building a new website. So that's coming along very well. And I think we're doing a really good job working with them, getting out some additional information, press releases. So plenty of communication engagement going on there, happy to say. And then lastly, we have in the packet the report from Capital Corps, and Michael McKinney is is on the line if he would like to give us some detail on that. I know he's been busy.
Just a couple of updates here. First of all, in the packet, in your legislative report in the back of the packet is an outline of what was passed as part of the California state budget in terms of water programs and policies that were put forward. A very interesting read. The priority for Proposition 4 funds is going to have water as one of its primary priorities. So in the first section of the state priorities, that it'll divert quite a bit of money into the water area. I also talk about the Bay Delta update. If you are interested in that particular saga that went on up in Sacramento. In terms of federal, we continue to work with the Army Corps of Engineers. The letter of intent was finalized and accepted by the Corps. The Corps is assigning a project manager. We are beginning to meet with that project manager, the purpose of which is to transition the project from a planning stage into a construction stage. That is scheduled to take place over 2026. We are finalizing, of course, all of our planning activities, as Steve said prior to, and we cannot transition until that point. Fiscal year 27 is the construction start timeline on that. Two main bills of interest to the GA, AB 1413 and AB 1466. You have a summary there. I will update that summary as of yesterday. The bills passed out of the Assembly Committee the Senate Judiciary Committee, AB 1413 by a vote of 10-3, AB 1466 by a vote of 11-2. They now move to the Senate Appropriations, which is the final committee of jurisdiction on this particular issue before going to the Senate floor and then over to the governor. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Thank you, Michael. We'll bring it back to the board for any questions or comments from the board.
I'd just like to thank Mike and the Capital Corps team for all your guys' hard work on this, and I know it's been a big lift. You guys have been working hard, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair Heyman, I just want to say congratulations on a job well done to Capital Corps and to everyone that has been working on the bills in Sacramento. So I think it was a pretty successful day yesterday, so good job.
Thank you.
And Michael, we're done with hearings on this bill, correct?
No, sir. We have one more final hearing. It is a fiscal hearing. It is
Oh,
not
I'm
a
sorry.
policy committee hearing.
Let me rephrase that. We're done with sending people to attend hearings.
That's correct.
Yeah.
There are no testimony provided during a fiscal hearing. The witnesses that have been appearing on behalf of the Groundwater Authority are done, and all the rest of it is up with us up in Sacramento unless we need specific help with amendments or something like that. AB 1466 does have pending amendments that were provided to us. Day before yesterday, we are going through those and we'll be submitting comments back to the author. AB 1413 has no pending amendments with the author's office.
I have a question about the financial report. What was the fiscal year for the last audit that the Groundwater Authority received?
I believe it was 22.
Right, so the audit for 2023 and 2024 are still pending, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm told we should have the 2023 audit here at any time. In fact, possibly next month.
Thank you.
Okay, any public comment for General Manager's report? We need public comment on the phones. Seeing none. We're going to move to item number 9, public comment on closed session. Any public comment from the floor? Any public comment on the phones? Seeing none, that concludes our open session, and we will now move into closed session. Okay, we will now resume open session with a report out on closed session with counsel Keith Lemieux.
Yeah, the board met in closed session to discuss the items identified on the closed session. No reportable action took place regarding those items. Mr. Chair, that concludes the report.
Thank you. With that, this meeting is adjourned.